Louis Gresham, partner at March Gaming, and I've got the pleasure of interviewing Alex, CEO of Absurd Joy, with whom I am fortunate to have been working for, how long has it been now? A year already?
Yeah, just over a year, I think.
This isn't your first rodeo.
Yep.
You built a very successful VR company, got acquired by Google, decided to take the enterprise route. What's different this time?
Well, I mean, with the previous company, it was 5 years of overnight success, and then we, we had just kind of an explosive period at the early days of VR, and kind of followed that wave and built some of the top products in that space. And now, we're definitely seeing a very different vibe when you start to build in the enterprise software space. I think the ceiling and the total addressable market for something like that versus VR, where we were very limited by the amount of hardware available to us, kind of the sky's the limit, and we're realizing that a product that solves a need today has a user base of pretty much everyone who's working remotely or hybrid or trying to get any kind of communication with their team across the world. So I think it's a higher pressure, more intense situation because we know how much we can, how much good we can bring to the world with this.
So one thing that you guys are at the forefront of is the consumerization of business software. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing the UI, the seamlessness, a lot of the characteristics of primarily interactive entertainment social products bleeding over into enterprise. Yeah. What does that mean for you guys? I mean, what are the advantages, opportunities, difficulties? We're at an inflection point with that, and you guys are right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both a product approach of how we kind of sell through and distribute bottom-up led software. Like in the past, you would go to your IT department and try to sell through a piece of enterprise software and then distribute it from the top down. And then now we have a model of basically individual contributors and individual team members can go and sign up for products from the ground up, get a subscription right on site and start using it, and then kind of proliferate from there. And I think the other part to what you're saying is kind of like the dry nature of enterprise software has always been kind of like completely purely utilitarian, and there's nothing really fun or interesting to use in that space. And so the kind of the gaming background and the approach to fluid, 60 frames a second, juicy technology that you actually want to use and spend time in, we're kind of employing that model with how we're building enterprise communication software. Because if you're spending all day in a tool, you really want it to feel like a place that you want to be and a place that you want to hang out in.
Yeah. And it was interesting for us seeing the response to you all coming out of stealth late last year. Why do you think there was such an enthusiastic kind of groundswell to the announcement? What did you guys tap into? What is that energy about?
It was, so we announced and we said, hey, is this tool something that could be helpful for your day-to-day or your process? And when you look at kind of all the responses that we got in an open forum, it's people who are sharing a lot of pain with us about their current day-to-day. They're like, I'm switching between this app and this app and this app, and now I'm on Zoom, and now I'm on Teams, and now I'm sending a link through Slack so that we can get ready for our Blue Jeans call. And it's just kind of like descriptions of a fragmented tool stack, where something that was more kind of unified, that would allow you to just say, well, yeah, I have all my meetings in this one place, my whole team's there, I spend my day there. It was a breath of fresh air, and so we just had a lot of people saying, I need this yesterday, and it will save me so much time and friction, and kind of the equivalent of people grabbing us by the neck and saying, please, please give us Tangle. My day is just such a pain right now from a tech standpoint.
Yeah. And you guys had a bit of your own story in that learning process. I mean, there was, after you decided to spin out from Google and take another crack at the entrepreneurial journey, and you had plenty of great backers funding essentially experimentation.
Yeah.
Tell us about what was that point at which you decided, hey, like this, of the things that we're tweaking, building right now, this is going to be the thing? What was that? Was there a light bulb moment? Was it an evolution? How did that happen?
Well, it's a bit of a leap to basically talk to investors and say, we don't know what solution we're going to come up with, or really the problem set that we're approaching, but we know that if we go on a journey of building something that is in the content space, we'll come across something frustrating enough that's preventing us from doing what we want to do, and we're going to pivot and build that solution, and that'll be our product. But we don't know ahead of time what it'll be. So having trusted folks who understand our background and saw what we did previously, we were able to kind of show that's our path and we'll figure it out. So we were building experimental VR, AR, wearable, type of tech and software space. And when we got to the point that we realized we can't communicate as a team and we can't just spend our day talking like we were in the same space, we got so frustrated that we said, let's just build a little tool that will help, solve that problem for us. And then we looked down one day and we're like, oh, we're actually sitting on the thing that is the product. And it took a bit of soul searching to say, is this going to work for other teams? And we started to get outreach from friends and colleagues saying, hey, what's that thing you're using for your team collaboration? And it was just those anecdotal moments of seeing everyone else's pain and the fact that we're not unique in the world of just wanting to get our team together in one spot, that we said, okay, this is going to be universally applicable. And that was the point that we just said, we have to ditch everything else and go with this as the main product.
For you, what does that mean right now? You guys, we've called you a prototype metaverse of sorts, but that's our investor spin on it. I mean, where do you think we are in the process, and where do you think you guys sit with this virtual world for work of sorts that you've built?
Well, I think from a terminology standpoint, it's kind of a label that encompasses a lot of what has been developed over the past couple decades, and there have been things that are quantified as metaverses that are 10, 20 years old. But I think it's kind of a realization that a persistent social space is needed in this era. And so Tangle really is kind of a usable early version of something like that, because it does bring people together. It gives you a virtual representation. It gives you a space that you can keep your communication data and the viscera, the outcome and the brainstorming content from it, and it's persistent. And then it's it's distributed insofar as that you have kind of a layer of multi-platform use, so it could be anywhere and it's not tied to one platform. So I think it's a reasonable label for a place that brings people together in a space. So
yeah. No, in a very fun way too, like everything you guys have ever built. Speaking of which, and this is a good one I think to end on, one thing that was fascinating as we started to get to know the team a year ago was this contrarian viewpoint on two things. One, which platform you were going to build for, and then two, the way that you were going to represent that the identity of a person in this virtual construct. Yeah. So you guys made decisions that were fundamentally different from a lot of other people about both the platform you're building for and then how you were going to allow people to represent themselves. How did that happen? Why so different?
Well, I mean, I think everything we do is kind of psychology-led and based on our own dog fooding of the tech. And so we found specifically that we were super drained being on camera all day, and it was a privacy concern, and also kind of being that we have this gaming background, our thought was there are times when I want to represent myself in a different way. So that led to kind of a technical decision of saying, well, we could do something that is, very state-driven Web 2.0, like just show whatever the video feed, or we could go down a path that would allow us to do something fluid and different and give kind of a puppeted, rigged avatar where there's a lot of complicated tech that drives that. And so we leaned on our gaming background and the tool set that we had available to us to say, oh, we could do something that is fluid and juicy and runs at 60 frames a second and gives that kind of like live feeling. And then when we saw that in the early experiments that feeling like you're sitting next to someone live and that their nonverbal communication is being communicated and the nodding and the moving, that was really important. And so we've just kind of gone down that path, and it's contrarian just because we're building what we think is the future, and we're not looking at saying, hey, here's a competitor, we're going to make a 10% change to it to try to augment it. We're saying, let's build from the ground up and figure out what the best solution here would be in a vacuum. So it just led to a lot of different technical calls than a lot of people are making.
Yeah, well, we're fortunate to be able to enjoy the product each and every day. So thank you for being here with us, and looking forward to a lot more fun.
Thanks, Lewis.